What's happening, everyone? Welcome back for another episode of the Chamber Podcast. This is episode number 101, and joining me in the studio is Jen Rote, owner of Brass and Oak, downtown Brighton. Welcome, Jen.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, how's your day been going?
It's been good. Just running around, doing some errands for the shop, doing some for my family, and it's beautiful out. It's 75 in October, so I can't complain.
Absolutely. I know I'm a little overdressed, like it's winter right now, because I forgot the temperature was going to take an incline today. So, Jen, I want to know about Brass and Oak, how it came about. But before that, what kind of led you to going into business for yourself and opening up the store? Give me a little bit of a background origin story.
Yeah.
On Jen Rote.
I keep on saying, I don't know why, but 11-year-old Jen would sit up in her room all day, all night, and cut out pictures in magazines and put together different styles and, take the photos and then collage her whole room in it. And I think that's where it really started of my fashion. I love her fashion. And then when I went to school for fashion merchandising and moved to Chicago, worked for showrooms. And I also got to work for a designer that designed and manufactured everything in-house. So that's where I really learned everything that I've been able to then take into my business now. The good, the bad, and the bad stuff I try to work better to not have that happen with my employees. It's always just been a passion of mine.
Yeah. From school to Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
what came after Chicago?
I came home with my husband, and we were dating at the time when we moved to Chicago, but we wanted to do some traveling and then start a family. And I knew I wanted to be close to family. I'm from South Lyon originally. So we wanted to be close to home, and we landed in Brighton, right after the pandemic. And I was 7 months pregnant, driving down Main Street, and I saw that my space was available. And I looked at my husband, I was like, Nick, my space is available. And I'm 7 months pregnant, like I said. And he just goes, we'll make it work. Let's do what we need to do to make it happen.
So when you say your space is available, is that the spot you've always had an eye on?
Yeah. Wildflower was in there before. And as soon as I walked into her space, when she was there, I told Nick, I was like, this will be where I have my store one day, thinking 5-10 years down the road or something, when my boys, because I have 2 boys, were older and I had more time, as they say.
Yeah.
And it just kind of happened way faster. We were literally on our way out of town for our 5-year anniversary. And I saw that she was moving, and I texted her immediately, and I was like, hey, what's going on? Is your space still available? Because I want that to be my space. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what was the decision-making process like? Was it as simple as, it's open, this is what I've always wanted to do, I'm moving in? Was it that fast?
Yeah.
And then what was the spin-up time from, okay, we're going to do this, to our store's opening?
Yeah, so the dream was becoming possible. That was September. We LLC'd October 5th. I had my second son October 13th. And then Natalie from Wildflower gave me the keys November 15th, and we opened December 1st, the day of ladies' night. So it was a 6-week turnaround time, 8 weeks maybe. Yeah.
So that's insane.
I
mean that in the best possible way. What I'm curious about is, I want to kind of know a little bit behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. So you have at this point, so you get the keys November 15th,
Mm-hmm.
you open December 1st. You have a 2-month-old.
Yeah. Yeah.
And another son who's 3.
3.5 at the time. Mm-hmm.
So what is that like? How do you manage all of that? Because you don't have a store that is low maintenance in terms of your inventory. Mm-hmm. You're coming into a heavy e-commerce market, retail space, women's clothing. Mm-hmm. What is that 6 to 8 week period like for spin up, and how did you accomplish that?
Yeah, I think just being in the industry for as long as I had been, and the experience I had working for the designer, and kind of I literally had this in my mind, this is what my store is going to look like. And everything kind of just, I don't want to say it as it's this easy, because it really wasn't that easy, but it fell into place, and it, I'm getting emotional, but it was meant to be in that moment. So putting the store together was easy. the part like raising the family, and that was a little bit harder because I had just had my son, and I had 6 weeks to, have my son and then open a store. And so I had product coming into our house as right before I had Liam, and I was, set up in our dining room, getting things steamed and tagged and ready to then just be like, all right, we got the keys, put the racks up, let's go. Mm-hmm.
So the name Brass and Oak, walk me through it.
Yeah. So when I was younger, the fashionista in me, I always liked to dress up even when camping. Like I would wear dresses and skirts and everything. So when I was camping, I was dressing like I was going to school. So brass is like the fancy side of me. It's that vintage inspired look, because that's what I wore a lot when I was a kid. And then the oak comes from my love for the outdoors, but keeping it elevated fashion-wise.
Yeah. I had some time to take a look at your website, and obviously I'm not in your target demographic, but I will say this from a marketing perspective. I loved your website, love your Instagram page and the consistency and the thought that you put in behind that. Where does that marketing element come from? Does it originate just from the fashion and design background that you have, or is that something that you've also invested some time into?
So I can't take credit for doing it all myself. I've learned over this past year that you need a team of amazing women. And so I have a great team of girls that help me with the Instagram. It's my vision, but they are able to then go and do it. Yeah. And yeah, so I can't take all the credit because I have an amazing group of women. Yeah.
So let's set the table for the last year. So essentially in downtown Brighton, we've had a pretty massive construction project underway pretty much all of 2023. So you open November 1st, construction ramps up sometime in the spring, Main Street effectively closes, and then we're getting ready to reopen in the next 2 weeks for the full pass through. Hopefully this week, we'll see. But so what was that like? What was the first year like of having a pretty large challenge in front of you in terms of foot traffic, and how'd you deal with it?
I've just stayed positive because I didn't know any difference. Like this is my first year, and I was like, all right, I have these goals that I want to meet. Can we make them? And I did, there's some days where it was a little bit slower, but I did pop-up shops, which I keep on doing, and I'm probably going to continue to do next year to like keep us afloat on those days that we are a little bit slower. Yeah. But the community has been so supportive. Like they keep on saying, this is what Brighton needed. And I'm like, okay, thanks. Like, I don't know how to like take it sometimes. Compliments are hard for me to take sometimes, but I'm taking them now. And I think that's what really got me through is just like seeing how passionate people are to come back to the shop. I have some people come in every week to see what's new. Or just to talk to me. And I think that's like the best part that's got me through even on those slower days. Because I know like next year will be better.
Definitely. So talk to me about the turnover in the shop. How often do you turn over inventory?
Fast. Right now we're, I think we just started fall, but now we're going to be turning the store over for holiday next week. So it's a fast turnover.
And obviously right now we're in the last quarter of the year. 2024 is coming up. Apart from Main Street being drivable all the way through, what else are you looking forward to for next year?
I would just say to see like how big the crowds can be like when we have like the festivals, because we missed out on the festivals this year, and I love people. So just having that group of people come in, I'm excited about that.
I'm very excited for the Main Street festivals to come back next summer.
Yeah.
Obviously being a part of the chamber, we've been having those discussions of what that's going to look like and planning and, how can we best support the businesses that are downtown. And it's exciting for me that this is now going to be a distant memory.
Yes.
And we can start bringing, those people driving festivals back to the downtown area. So what's coming up for this year? I know you have an event coming up.
Yeah. So we're doing, pull out my flyer so I don't say it wrong.
Absolutely.
So we're doing the Main Street Holiday Fashion Show. It's November 9th from 6:30 to 9:30. It's sponsored by Cooper & Binkley and Pat Lett's Real Estate Group. And we're super excited because there's going to be 7 other boutique and businesses participating. Is it okay if I say the names of everybody really quick? So obviously it's us, Brass and Oak. Coast on Main, Coral Sash, Grace and Whimsy, Forest and Phillies, Ivy Vines, and Sunny's on the Corner. And then Tribute is doing hair for the models, and makeup is going to be done by London Beauty.
Absolutely. That sounds great. All fantastic businesses. I got a lot of friends on that list that you just mentioned. So, and it's exciting. Obviously, Barb Binkley, a huge supporter of the downtown district. And I know Pat and Chris Lotz are as well. So that's exciting that they're partnering together to sponsor the event.
Yeah, they're amazing. They've been, everybody on this list has become really fast friends of mine. And when I started Brass and Oak, I didn't want it just to be me and my store. I wanted it to be a community, and I want to be able to put on events that spotlight all the businesses, because we're not competition. We are each other's supporters, and if we're not doing well as a business, then how is everybody else going to do well? I think the more we work together, the better we can all do.
Yeah, I definitely love the events that involve multiple businesses driving the community to bring more awareness. They might be aware of your shop, might not be aware of someone else, that might have something that they might want. So Jen, tell me, what has been your biggest struggle in starting the business? What's been the one thing you're like, man, if I could go back and maybe reverse engineer this a little bit, I would be better off for it?
Maybe not having a baby right as I'm doing it, because everything else has been great. Like, I think just I'm not saying that I, regret having a kid right when all this is happening, but at the same time, like, having more time, is
more spin up time.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Just having more time. But I think the thing that I can take away from it is I didn't have time to really think about it. I just did it. I didn't overthink things, and I'm an overthinker a lot. So yeah, being able to just jump into it, but it's also very stressful a lot of times.
I'll tell you this, the amount of people that have been in the studio that have mentioned your store by name and how incredible it is has been, I will say definitely over 10 people have said it directly to me, how great it is that you're in downtown Brighton. So we're certainly glad to have you here.
I'm going to cry. Thank you.
No, it's a tremendous accomplishment you've done. You've done a lot in a year. You should be proud.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So Jen, as we wrap up, obviously I had mentioned a little bit ago that the store obviously isn't catered to me necessarily, but what can people expect when they come through the doors and talk about age ranges and different styles of clothing and things like that?
Yeah, so I would say that my store we have even though we're trendy, we are also those pieces that you can have in your closet for years to come. When I first decided to open Brass and Oak, I was thinking in my head, gearing towards the moms that are in my age group. I'm 34 about to be. But what's happened in this past year is I noticed that girls from 25 all the way to my grandma, who's 92, shop in my store. And we have something for everybody through those age ranges.
Love it. Mm-hmm. And then is it 100% apparel?
We have apparel, we have accessories, so that includes jewelry, handbags, some local artists that design earrings, so they're all polymer clay earrings that aren't super heavy that people have been loving, and then a handbag line that's also a local designer as well. And then we also do gift items too. That's
great. I love the inclusion of local artists. That's great. Well, thank you, Jen. I appreciate your time and coming in the studio today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up this week's edition of the Chamber Podcast. You can find all of Jen's information, including the website for Brass and Oak, in the show description. Go ahead and check that out. Apart from that, we'll catch you next week. Take care.